It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day to you, and welcome to County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller, and we're happy to welcome into studio a smiling face that we're always so happy to see visit us, and she has done so many times. Sheila Stubler and Fort Verde State Historic Park. Hello.
Good morning, Brad.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
So happy to see you again, and we so appreciate that series we did with you about the Vietnam Wall last, it's coming up on a year ago. It's not quite been that long, but darn near, I think. And there's something always exciting to talk about. You brought a guest in here with you today, Tom Lenigan, and we're going to talk about a number of things. But the Rockin River Ranch has been born since the last time that we chatted. Perhaps you'll introduce Tom and let folks know a little bit about this newest addition to the state park family.
Sure. So we welcome Tom Lenigan. He's our assistant manager, and he's also not only working at Fort Verde State Park, but also at Rockin River Ranch State Park. So wearing a couple of hats, driving back and forth. So when you see us driving, give us a wave. Hello.
Stay out of the way. There's business to be had. Well, Tom, welcome. Are you new to the area then, too? Or?
Yes, I moved here November.
Okay, from
Central Idaho.
Okay. Oh, boy. Okay. So you know that territory, and you've been in this game for a while?
I've been a park ranger for about 10 years now,
Okay.
And then I worked for the Forest Service for about 5 years before that.
Okay. Well, welcome to the community. Congratulations. It sounds
Thank
like
you.
are in order for this a new responsibility. Tell me a little bit about, well, you know what I want to do first. Sheila, we've always talked, and almost every time you're here, we mention the need for volunteers. And as summer season, I assume, is probably as busy, if not the busiest of the year. I'm thinking volunteers are perhaps needed again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
At both state parks. So with Tom and I both working at Fort Verde and Rockin River, we also always need volunteers for helping either with the front desk. With Rockin River, we've got lots of landscaping volunteer opportunities.
Okay.
Lots of weed eating and mowing and things like that. But also because it's a nature park, there's the wonderful outdoors. So somebody who might have a talent in birding or wants to lead guided tours and maybe be a trail ambassador, there's a lot of unique opportunities, and a lot of it's new for us. So we're learning what kind of areas that we need volunteers for as we go. But definitely our volunteers have been intricate in keeping Fort Verde open to the public all these years, and we couldn't do it without our volunteers. And so we'd like to extend that invitation for more people to help out at Rockin River as well.
I know that sometimes, and I think maybe it was you that told me on a previous visit, that sometimes, and not infrequently, programming can be adapted because of the availability of certain volunteers with certain skill sets.
Absolutely. Somebody comes
That's great.
through and says, hey, I'd like to teach how to make adobe bricks. And so we do that at Fort Verde.
Yeah.
Somebody says, I'd like to lead birding tours. That's another availability at Rockin River Ranch State Park. And so there's quite a few opportunities.
But you don't have to have a specialized skill.
You don't.
Just a desire, perhaps a love for the outdoors would be certainly a bonus.
Yeah, and just the willingness to come and help out.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
there a typical volunteer? How many hours per week or per
Sure.
month?
We match volunteers to what they want to do. So if somebody says, I'd like to help out at the visitor center so y'all can go weed eat and mow, like a 4-hour shift, that helps us out, because then it gives us
Right.
that time where we're not having to stay in one spot. We can be out there and tackling the weed eating and all that stuff. So we match people with what they want to do. If somebody says, I want to do a little bit of maintenance, we match that. But typical shift would be maybe 4 hours once a week.
Okay.
And the cool thing is about Arizona State Parks and Trails is that once you do your first 40 hours, you can earn a volunteer pass to go to other state parks. So most of the people that come and volunteer at our parks are parks people, and they love going and seeing all these wonderful parks that we have. And so that's one of the things that we offer to our volunteers.
Can unlock that golden ticket, kind
You
of.
got it. And then they can bring a few people with them here and there. And
That's real incentive, and that's
Yeah.
that's great. It's a great way to do it. If folks have that desire and that love in their hearts for the state park system, which Arizona has a shining star example of, this is a great way to do it. Get involved.
Absolutely. And even our Dutch oven cooks, when they do our reenactments, they're cooking these meals for volunteers, and they do an incredible job every year. And so there's just so many unique opportunities to volunteer.
Well, I want to talk. I think you're referring to the history of the soldier coming up at Fort Verde this week. Now, I want to get into that. That's always a highlight of the calendar. But let's start first. Tom is here, so let's talk a little about Rockin' River Ranch, and I'll let either of you answer the questions. But you were giving me, I'd like to share with the listeners before we open the mics, a little history that this parcel has been there for a long, long time. It really was a working ranch, and it's developed and changed hands and matured, and now it's something for everybody to enjoy.
Actually, the Lawrences purchased it in 1946. They actually went up there and they made it into the ranch. It was a working cattle ranch. They had horses, they had pigs, all kinds of things up there. And so they basically ran that ranch until about 1960 or so.
Okay.
And then they had to sell it. It was about 600 acres at the time. When they did sell it, it was divided up into different parcels. So the ranch that we have today is 209 acres. So,
Okay.
but yeah, so they sold it. So it has changed hands a little bit here and there. In about 2008 or so, it was sold to the Nature Conservancy. And then the Nature Conservancy went ahead and contacted state parks, and state parks had taken it over then after that.
And it sounds like from here again, what you were telling me, and Tom, that this park, primitive isn't the word. Sheila used the word simple, that like some of the hiking trails are not well established. That's going to be for folks to do. Horses, mountain bikes, that kind of thing. It sounds like it's a real opportunity to see a park kind of, here it is now, and it'll develop along with its usage.
Yes, it will. As we develop, we're in our second stage of development right now. And after that is completed, we'll be going into our third stage of actually putting in new recreational opportunities and expanding what we have to offer to create more and more things for people to come and do and enjoy this park.
I don't think I've been to a state park where there isn't the availability to do kind of a survey, sometimes quite formal, sometimes just a card to fill out. I'm guessing that this park, as it develops like most, people will be asked, encouraged for their input as they visit?
Yes, if you come by our visitor center, we actually have a QR code that you can scan.
There you go.
And tell us what you think of the park.
Yeah.
And that'll help us develop this park into something amazing.
How did this kind of happen? I mean, who said, okay, let's make this a state park? Was there an endowment from the previous owners or what?
Well, so when the state in 2008, when they acquired the property, that was right about the time when the recession hit.
Okay.
And so, of course, nothing was being developed at that time. And it just kind of sat there. There was an attempt in 2018 to try to open that. And for whatever reason, right before COVID hit and all that, it just didn't happen. Right. So February 8th of this year is when we had the grand opening, and the governor came up and helped to open up Rockin' River Ranch State Park. So that's kind of how everything kind of developed. And we've been involved in basically the main operations of, working with all these other park rangers in the whole northern Arizona that came together and volunteered their time to help us get this park opened when it did open. So, and to be honest, as far as opening a brand new park, this was my first time.
Is that right?
So that's something.
Well, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. No, well, Fort Verde opened in 1970. I was 1 year old then. So, so literally to open a brand new park, there's so many unknowns, and so it opened my eyes, but what it's like to actually open a park from the very beginning. So it's a pretty cool opportunity.
Really kind of exciting. And when we talk about the volunteers, are they needed there and Fort Verde?
Yes,
both?
sir.
Yeah.
Both. We can always use volunteers. And literally, they keep our parks going. I know all the other parks in the Verde Valley, too, can speak to that, too, that they literally, volunteers help keep our parks going.
All right. Let's get a quick, is there a phone number, a website? What's the best way to reach out if folks want to volunteer or learn more?
Absolutely. They can go to azstateparks.com and they click on the volunteer tab, and then they can just fill out which park or parks that they'd like to volunteer at. Or they can call us at Fort Verde at 928-567-3275. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that they have.
Okay. Sounds good. And we'll repeat that information before we wrap up countywide. We do need to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about this weekend's exciting event, History of the Soldier, returning to Fort Verde State Historic Park. Sheila Stubler, Tom Lenigan, our guests, and I'm Brad Miller. We'll be back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
Welcome back to the program. Again, it's countywide. Sheila Stubler, Tom Lenigan here, and talking about the Rockin' River Ranch, newest state park in Arizona's chain of state parks. History of the Soldier comes back to the very well-established Fort Verde State Historic Park, and that is this weekend, and really a highlight on the calendar, one of many. Sheila, folks turn out for this, and a lot of people, the volunteers with that kind of take part in the event itself.
Yeah, the reenactors,
really turn out. Talk to me about the reenactors, because that's such a highlight.
Oh, they're amazing. They come from all over the state. We've even got folks that drive all the way over from Reno to participate in this because they have such a love and a passion for history, and they want to share that with the public and to educate them about all the sacrifices that people made by serving, as in the military. So we have different presentations that are going to be happening. We have the encampments. Our Dutch oven cook is going to be there with his crew, and they're going to be providing Dutch oven meals for the volunteers. And then for like a $10 donation, the public can partake in that too.
Okay.
So at different times. But we'll have different presentations, flag raising ceremonies. Our chief bugler will be there and to do the calls.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite events of the year because we get to include all of the different war periods and honor all of our veterans from all different war periods.
For our listeners who might want to attend, is this kind of like an open house format? Do they do we call them reenactors? Do they do actual reenactments, or is it more just kind of period uniforms?
It's more period uniforms, and because the cannon crew will come and they'll do the artillery demonstrations and things like that.
Okay.
This past year, that we did have a new group with the Apache Indian Scouts that they came and they did some military tactics and drills, and that was really cool. And it was a new addition, and so we're excited about that. So they do different things from year to year, but when I say reenactment, it's not kind of like what they did before.
Yeah.
So
I picture like something very specific, like Gettysburg.
Yeah.
The reenact, and all of that, and the battle and the specifics and those kinds of things. That's not what this is, but it's darn cool, and it's a slice of history. The fort was a fort in terms of having like armed soldiers there during which period of our history?
So 1871 to 1891, and it was during the Indian Wars era, which is right after Civil War. Most of the guys had their uniforms still, and so the military said, you need a job? Sign here, we'll feed you, clothe you, and put you to work, and that's what they did. So
and here they are. And then, and so then some of the replica uniforms that we'll see are from that period or from many periods?
Many periods.
Okay.
We have Revolutionary War, Spanish-American War.
It's the whole shebang.
The whole gamut. Of course, some of our soldiers from Vietnam, different folks will have different representations. We do have some World War II.
That's great.
Yeah, the registration forms have been coming in, and so we're getting a lot more of the guys and gals that are starting to come back for this event, which is really exciting.
Okay, here comes the dumb question, because I always ask at least one when we talk. I really kind of don't know exactly what a Dutch oven is and how it works.
Sure.
Can you give me
something
I should have known a long time ago?
Sure, back in the old days, it's one of those really heavy pans.
Right.
Like really heavy cooking, I don't know how to describe it. A big, heavy
Like
pot,
cast
big
iron?
heavy cast iron. Yeah, so they use that and they cook everything in it. So
Right.
literally, his Dutch oven crew even knows how to make lasagna out of a Dutch oven.
I'll be there.
Yeah, so now it's
Okay.
not on the menu for this time. It is pulled pork, but pulled pork and
Oh.
cobbler are pretty darn good.
You can cook anything in a cast iron
Right?
pan.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can
Okay.
cook anything. And Bill
But isn't
Stafford,
it-
yeah.
Isn't it like covered and then like
It's covered. They
slow
take-
heated?
Yeah, what you do is you take charcoal and you heat the charcoal and then you put the charcoal on top of the pan.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
they stack them. So literally what happens is when you have these heated charcoals, you put them on top of the lid of the first Dutch oven and then you layer them that way.
Gotcha.
And then it actually cooks it that way. So,
Okay.
And,
And
this
this-
is a layperson's description of it because I'd like to take his class myself so I could learn how to do it.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. And I've kind of heard, but I kind of understood completely. But this is true to how it was done back in a certain part of our military history.
One of the ways,
They're
yeah.
out in the field doing these things. Extraordinary. Do we have any idea how many replicator? What was the word you used for the
reenactors?
Reenactors.
Yeah.
How many kind of are in attendance overall? Or?
So we've been getting registration forms anywhere, I'd say 25 to maybe 40 or more. A lot of times
Okay.
the guys and gals kind of show up the day of and they fill out their registration forms.
Okay.
And one of the things I often have to say is I know I refer to them as reenactors. We've got quite a few living historians, like, for example, Jerry Geronimo Martin, who is related to Geronimo. He'll be there to do a presentation on Saturday. Most of the...
There's your entertainment right there.
Yep.
You brought him in on a show, and you don't forget that fella.
Absolutely.
At all. Entertaining, and his grasp of history in this area is just extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And a colorful gentleman to listen to.
And we have a military fashion show. So the thing is, you get a chance to have all of these different volunteers representing the different historical wars and their uniforms and indicating to the public, here's what we use this for, here's what we use that for.
Okay.
And the best part is it's just the regular park fee. There's no additional charge. So
Okay.
it's just the $7 a person for adults. And kiddos from 7 to 13 years of age are $4. 6 and under are free.
And it'll be 2 days, Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. The one day that has most of the planned events would be Saturday. That's when the artillery crew is there. But Sunday, we also do an 1880s period church service. And then we also do military drills and different presentations, things like that as well.
Okay, so you can come both days perhaps and
Sure
see
can.
a little bit of different things on each of those. History of the Soldier, Fort Verde State Historic Park. And that is coming up this weekend, April 13th, 14th, at Fort Verde, of course. Rockin' River Ranch, open 7 days?
We are right now just open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday,
Okay.
9 to 5.
Okay. As volunteers come, that'll expand probably, or is that how it works? Or we don't know yet. Yeah, that's part of the fun. We're so new, and it's just truly the park is in its infancy, and so as these things kind of develop, just like anything,
We were just so grateful it opened.
Yeah.
That was the first step, was getting it open to the public.
Up and rolling.
And the last entry is at 4 p.m. because they have to make sure that people get time to
Yeah.
hike the trail, but then
Yeah.
staff have to leave by 5. So we also have to let folks out there know that it does have last entry at 4 o'clock.
Okay, terrific. All right, we need to take another break, so we'll do that when we come back. We'll talk once again. I want to just kind of hit again, the need for volunteers is always terrific for so many of our different nonprofit agencies, and everybody really kind of scrambling. Volunteerism is kind of a little more difficult to come by, and the state parks need your help too. Could be right up your alley as the busy season rolls around. It's countywide. We'll take a short break and be back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
We welcome you back to the program, kind of wrapping up our county-wide. Sheila Stubler, Tom Lenigan, and talking about the new Rockin' River Ranch, and also this weekend, the history of the soldier at Fort Verde State Historic Park. And volunteers, again, at the top of our show we mentioned, and I want to do it here again at the end because volunteers very much needed at both of the state parks, and summertime is the busy season, I assume.
Summertime mostly at Rockin' River because of the growing season for all the plants and everything like that. But we take volunteers all year long. So.
Yeah, okay. And again, you don't have to have special knowledge or special abilities, though if you do, you might employ that into some programming or some different offerings at the state parks. Mostly you'd probably just need, I'm assuming, a love of the outdoors.
Love of the outdoors, or just a willingness to see what we've got and see if it's what they want to volunteer with.
And maybe 4 hours a week or so. Would those be four consecutive? I'm assuming.
Yeah. What we do is we try to match anybody's schedule to where it's needed, and we try to plug people in where there's the void. Yeah.
And what kind of a training curve would there be for a typical volunteer, if there is such a thing?
Yeah, so it just depends on what task that they're going to be doing. If they're running the front desk, there are some trainings that the state has. Like if you're working the front desk register, you have to take a PCI training, which is basically learning how to run the register and cash handling, things like that.
Right.
And then there's also, if somebody's driving like the Kubota or golf cart or one of the vehicles, they have a driver training. And so there's kind of a list of classes that our volunteer coordinator has for all of our state park volunteers. Okay. So they would just go through that process, and then that's what they do. And then once they go through all of that process first to come on board as a volunteer, then they get trained in the different things.
So by the time you're volunteering, you'll be comfortable in doing so.
Yep.
You'll know what's what and how to answer the questions and those kinds of things. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. And then best of all, through your volunteerism, you can accrue what I called earlier the golden ticket, but it really kind of is that. After you've got X number of hours as a volunteer, you basically get a pass to the whole shebang.
You get a state park pass. It's good for 33 state parks. And Rockin' River Ranch is actually our 33rd state park entering the system. So
there you go. That's incentive. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. Always fun to talk and always exciting to hear about what is happening. So much history in our own backyards. And if you haven't been out to either the new Rockin' River Ranch or the History of the Soldier event coming up this weekend at Fort Verde State Historic Park, people travel from all over the place to do what we can do here locally in Yavapai County. So don't be a stranger. Our guest today, again, Tom Lenigan, Sheila Stubler, and I'm Brad Miller. It's Countywide. And we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.